Hi, welcome back. In part 1, we built the foundation, why data matters, how it drives trust, automation, and ROI, and the risk of poor data readiness. Now, in part 2, we cross the bridge from insight to action. This is where procurement leaders embed AI into daily workflows, develop future-ready skills, and scale success across the enterprise. The objective is clear, is to show how data, when paired with AI, people, and processes, become not just information but transformation. In procurement, experience matters, but experience without data can still lead to bias, missed opportunities, and inconsistent decisions. In this session, we'll look at how analytics helps to remove gut feel, what types of analytics you should know, and what are the tools and enablers for data analytics. We will end with the highlights of this tutorial: how to tell a compelling story with data that capture the attention of decision makers like C-suites. Supplier evaluations have traditionally been driven by relationships, perceptions, and sometimes even gut feel. The risk is obvious. Bias creeps in and decisions become subjective. Data changes that. By replacing anecdotal evidence with verified fact-based performance metrics, evaluations shift from opinion to reality. Clean, connected data ensures vendor names are standardized, inaccuracies corrected, and performance measured against hard facts. The result is procurement leaders can make decisions rooted in trust and transparency, not personal bias, turning supplier management into a truly objective strategic process. Gut feel can't handle complex data, but advanced analytics can. By clustering purchase around cost drivers like seasonality or logistics distance, these models reveal the real difference in supply performance under identical conditions. Unlike humans, they don't get distracted by outliers or personal bias. Instead, they surface hidden trends, like a vendor quietly acting as a broker by adding markups to every sale. Insights like these are nearly impossible to spot with intuition alone. The takeaway: statistical clustering turns noise into clarity, giving leaders fact based visibility that drives smarter supplier decisions. At the highest level of maturity, AI doesn't just analyze, it acts. Systems can automatically flag supplier risks and performance deviations in real time, giving leaders early warnings before issues escalate. In competitive markets, autonomous trade bots even make purchasing decisions based on predefined rules and live market data. That means no human bias, no delays, just objective, fact driven choices at speed. Data analytics in procurement isn't one size fits all. It is a maturity curve. It starts with a simple historical reporting, then moves to diagnostic and predictive insights, and ultimately reaches prescriptive and autonomous decision making. The higher you climb this curve, the less reactive procurement becomes, shifting from looking back at what happened to proactive shaping what will happen. Think of analytics in procurement as climbing a ladder. Each step gives you more power. Descriptive. At the first step, you are looking back. It is hindsight. Answering simple questions like, what did we spend? It is the spend report every C-suite has seen. Diagnostic. Next, you dig deeper. Why did cost spike? Why did lead time stretch? This is root cause analysis, moving beyond numbers to patterns. Predictive. Now you are looking forward. What will demand be next quarter? Will prices rise? Predictive models give leaders foresight before the market hits them. Prescriptive. Here, analytics doesn't just predict, it advises. Which supplier should we choose? Where should we renegotiate? It is decision support. Automation. At the top, systems act on their own. AI bots flag risks in real time or even make tricks automatically, removing human bias and speeding up decisions. Together, these five types move procurement from reactive reporting to proactive autonomous decision making, turning data into a true competitive advantage. Think of procurement like driving a car. At first, you are looking at the rear view mirror, asking, what did we spend? Then you check the dashboard. Why did cost spike? Soon, you are watching the GPS. What will demand look like next quarter? But the real leap is when the car drives itself. That's automation. AI becomes the autopilot, spotting risks, adjusting routes, and even making decisions in real time. No gut feel, no bias, just fact-based navigation. This is procurement's journey, from asking questions to letting intelligence take the wheel. Data is a fuel that powers procurement across the entire sourcing journey. It cleans out spend to uncover hidden savings, forecasts demand to keep inventory lean, and turns supply performance into dashboards of facts instead of opinions. It guides smarter sourcing decisions, reviews whether prices are truly fair, and flags risks before they become crises. And today, it even tracks sustainability, from carbon emissions to supplier diversity. In short, data transforms procurement from guesswork into a discipline of evidence, foresight, and impact. For procurement and supply chain professionals, data analytics is enabled by a combination of sophisticated software tools and foundational organizational capabilities. While technology provides the platform, success is driven by the triad of people, processes, and a robust data infrastructure. Success in procurement analytics rests on three dimensions. First, the technology tool sets. From BI dashboards to AI-powered platforms, these are the engines that process and visualize data. But tools alone aren't enough. Second, foundational enablers, the infrastructure and processes, a centralized information hub, strong data governance, even digital twins of the supply chain. This create a backbone that makes analytics trustworthy and scalable. Third, human and organizational enablers, talent, training, and executive sponsorship turn analytics into action. When professionals act as translators, connecting complex data to business impact, adoption rise, and value is unlocked. Together, these three dimensions, tools, foundations, and people, transform analytics from software into strategy. Numbers alone don't change minds. Stories do. Data storytelling is the art of turning complex numbers into clear insights that drive action. Think of it like building a bridge. Data is the raw material. Visualization is a blueprint. And narrative is a path that carries leaders across. Without the story, data is just noise. With it, the numbers suddenly answer the real question. So what? In procurement, this means moving beyond reports that say what happened to stories that explain why it happened and what to do next. It is the difference between showing a chart of spend and telling the story of hidden savings, supply risks, or opportunities for innovation. Data storytelling is not about more charts. It is about clarity, context, and action. It is how numbers speak the language of decisions. Every compelling story starts with trust. In procurement, that trust comes from clean, reliable data. If the foundation is shaky, such as duplicate, error, inconsistencies, the entire narrative loses credibility. Leaders must believe the numbers before they act on the story. Once the foundation is solid, the next step is knowing your audience. Executives want the big picture, finance wants margin impact, and the hero is often the team or strategy driving resilience or ESG goals. Tailoring the story makes it relevant. Then comes the narrative arc, beginning, middle, and end. Set the context, review the conflict, and show the resolution. Visuals support the journey by cutting through complexity. And the final destination is action. Clear recommendations tied to business objectives. That's the framework. Trustworthy data, a tailored narrative, purposeful visuals, and a clear call to action. Together, they transform procurement from reporting the past to shaping the future. Storytelling matters because it builds trust. When data is presented as a clear narrative, finance and the C-suite see transparency, not just numbers. It prevents analysis paralysis by focusing on one key insight instead of drowning leaders in matrices. Numbers alone are often forgotten, but stories that tie data to human outcomes or business survival are memorable. Numbers alone, such as costs are up, delays increase, is information, but it doesn't move anyone. Storytelling connects the dots. It explains the cost, shows the impact in dollars, and points to the fix. Suddenly, the conversation shifts from reporting problems to guiding solutions. By building a storyboard that addresses the context, cost, impact, and action, you transform from a reporter of past events into a strategic advisor who guides the future of the organization. Creating a compelling data story means transforming raw facts into a narrative that drives action. It is not just about showing what happened, it is about connecting data, visuals, and context to explain why it happened and what should happen next. In the following slides, I will walk you through the 7 steps that turn data into influence, the process that helps procurement professionals move from reporting numbers to shaping strategy. Step 1 is mining the numbers, such as trends, anomalies, year-over-year changes. Think of it as gathering the raw bricks for your story. Step 2 is adding context. Numbers alone fade, but when you pair them with real-world drivers, such as conversations, events, or supplier issues, the story becomes memorable. Step 3 is defining purpose and audience. Executives want the big picture, technical teams want the details. By tailoring the story, you avoid overload and keep the focus sharp. Step 4 is a narrative arc. Every good story has a beginning, middle, and end. In data storytelling, that means setting the context, revealing the conflict, and showing the resolution. Step 5 is visuals with intention. Charts and graphs aren't decoration, they are spotlights. Use them to direct attention to the one insight that matters most. Every great data story must end with action. The gold standard isn't just storytelling, it's story selling. That means giving your audience a clear next step they believe in, whether it's shifting strategy, launching a new campaign, or adjusting budgets. The resolution must be tangible and tied to business goals. And remember, this process is circular. As new questions arise, you may need to revisit the data, refine the context, and sharpen the story. That's how storytelling stays alive and keeps driving results. In part 2, we have seen how data transforms decision making. It removes gut feel and replaces it with evidence. We explore the types of analytics: descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive, each adding a layer of clarity. We look at real use case where analytics drives procurement and supply chain impact, and we saw how enablers, tools, processes, and people make data trustworthy and scalable. Finally, we connected it all through storytelling, because numbers alone don't move leaders, stories do. When data is structured into a narrative, it explains not just what happened, but why it happens and what should be done next. That is the essence of part 2. From raw data to analytics, from enablers to storytelling, and ultimately from insight to action. It's the bridge that turns information into strategy. What triggered me to create this tutorial series is a trend I have been noticing. Business leaders rushing to implement AI after seminars, setting up task force when many members aren't trained in data, and some don't even fully understand what AI is. For procurement professionals, our biggest nightmare is lack of visibility. We hope AI can ease manual, repetitive work so we can focus on what truly matters. But there is no shortcut. The foundation must be solid, and that foundation is data. That's why I have been recording these videos to explain AI, data analytics, and Industry 4.0 in a simple, light-hearted way. Because before we can harness AI, we need to understand the basics, build trust in our data, and learn how to tell the right stories with it. So stay tuned. The journey from data to AI is just beginning.